Hello, my name is Christine, aka Crafty Potential, and I'm on the design team for Arden Creative Studios. And in today's video, we're going to play around with some of Arden's premium cardstock and a few of Katie Petite's die sets. So we're going to use the branch mix because it has some gorgeous branches in here that I thought would work really nicely for this technique that I love to do. And I'm also going to add on the stacked sentiment thank you for the sentiment on this card as well. And the cardstock we're going to be using, I've already taken a piece of the 225 GSM A4 bright white cardstock from Arden, cut it into quarters and added a double-sided adhesive sheet onto this. It's going to be part of the technique. And then I've also taken 3 of the purple colours from the A4 cardstock, which is the 225 GSM, and it's smooth on both sides. And I've taken the purple haze, the amethyst and the aubergine from that sort of range. And then from the other range, I have taken the lilac cardstock, and this is in the 12 by 12 cardstock, which is actually 300 GSM, and one side has this gorgeous texture, really lovely linen texture, and the other side is smooth. So if you like your cardstock to be 12 by 12, or if you like to have the option of a textured side and a smooth side, then the 12 by 12 cardstock is the perfect one to go for. And for my sentiment, I have also taken the aubergine cardstock in the 12 by 12 and die cut this, so it's got a slight little texture to it. I feel like the die may have squashed it a little bit, but it's got a slight little texture to it. And even though this cardstock is 225 GSM and this is 300, these dies still cut it perfectly. Cuts really nicely. Even these fine details and the fine details of the thank you as well, they cut out really nicely. So I've taken a quarter sheet of each of those colours and I have die cut all of these beautiful branches. So I can basically get 2 of each size of these 2 large ones and this small one from half a quarter sheet, if that makes sense. So you can get quite a lot of branches out of using these 4 sheets of cardstock. And what we're going to do for this technique is we're going to take all 4 colours, we're going to kind of mix them up and create almost like, you know that game Pick Up Sticks where they go over the top of each other? We're going to kind of do that with our die cut, but to make it easier so we don't have to stick tiny bits of glue all over the backs of the leaves and the tiny bits of stems, we're going to use double-sided adhesive on our piece of bright white cardstock, and then we're going to fill in any excess areas that are left over with some beautiful rock candy glitter and possibly a sprinkling of some confetti as well. I feel like that would look really nice in the background. So the first thing we want to do for this card is you want to have added your double-sided adhesive to your bright white card. I did that off camera so that it was just a little bit quicker, and I'm just going to peel off the backing. Keep this because it's quite nice to press the die cuts down if you want them to really firmly adhere before we add the glitter later on. And then it's a really random process. Go through, pick up a branch and just add it to the background wherever you want to, mixing in the different colours, mixing in the different styles of the dies, because you've kind of got them going in different directions. You've got the small dies, you've got the larger dies. You just want to bring in all of these beautiful branches and fill up your background. So we can just keep adding all of these across, making sure you do pick up all of your different colours, because I haven't picked up this one yet. Maybe, and overlapping them as well. We're not just putting them down on the background, we're overlapping too to create a really fun effect on here. We want to kind of balance our colours across the card as well, so make sure you haven't just got all of the darker leaves in one area. You want to make sure you've got that balance across the background as well. And also this piece of card that I'm working on is slightly bigger than my favourite size that I like to work on, just a tiny bit bigger, just so we can trim off the edges and get them really nice and square afterwards. But you're just basically going through, randomly picking up your branches and just placing them wherever you feel like they're going to work really nicely across this background. And we don't have to use all of these either. We can stop at any point when we feel like we've got enough coverage across our background. I just really like this technique. It's a really nice way to use some of your die cuts, and mixing in that linen texture with the smooth cardstock as well is really nice because it just gives a little bit of difference across your card. something that's subtle, but when the recipient looks at the card nice and closely, they'll kind of think, oh, that's got a nice texture on there, I hadn't noticed that before. So what else do we want to put? We need something else to fill this area here. I think maybe this colour again. Yeah, I think that across there will look really nice. Then maybe more of this purple up here as well. We need something else coming in here, another one of this maybe, overlapping that way. And maybe another light one in the foreground, coming across there. Another little one of these over here. And another dark one, maybe a larger dark one. Like that over here, I think. So we have almost used everything for this background. So once you get to this point, take that release paper from your adhesive sheet and press this down all over to firmly adhere them to your double-sided adhesive sheet. And if there are any places where you feel like something's overlapping too much and you need to add a little bit of glue onto there, you can definitely do that as well. You know, just lift up a little leaf and put a little dot of glue underneath it to make it stay stuck down. But I think we're pretty good. Maybe this leaf here, because it's overlapping quite a lot, and maybe a couple of leaves over here as well might need a little bit of help to stay stuck down. So we can just bring in our glue, add a little bit behind a couple of these leaves just to help them stay down. Maybe this one here as well. And this one over here. And then I think that's pretty good. So once we've got to this point, we now want to take our long bladed pair of scissors, pick up our panel, flip it over and trim off any of our excess stalks that are hanging over the edge. Okay, so we've trimmed all of that off. You can see how it's coming together more now. When you can't see all of those bits and pieces hanging over the edges, you can kind of see how the pattern looks on your final panel. You probably could rescue a couple of those pieces to use elsewhere, but because they're mostly the end of a branch, I have just put those in the bin. Then you can definitely just add glitter at this point, but a nice extra kind of touch for a card like this is to just take some clear kind of confetti. These are little tiny clear iridescent hearts, and we're just going to just put a few of them across the background. Just sprinkle out a few of them and just get them to stick onto the double-sided adhesive sheet first. We can put any extra ones back into our pot as well, but just get a little sprinkling everywhere to see how many of them we can get to stick into a few areas. And we will take off any that are kind of overlapping the leaves as well. And we can take our release paper again and press nice and firmly to kind of bond as many of those down as we can. And then we can tip it up and get off the excess. And anywhere where there are too many or they're overlapping the leaves, we can just brush those off as well. You also want to get the excess ones off so that we don't contaminate our clear glitter as well. So you can just brush off any of these excess ones, making sure any of the ones that remain are nice and sturdy and stuck down onto the adhesive. You may find as you're doing this that you find an extra leaf that needs a little bit of glue as well. So we can just stick that down. Okay, so I think I've got most of the excess hearts off of here now. They're a little bit staticky, so sometimes you think you've got them all off and some of them are staying statically stuck, but we've got a nice scattering of hearts in our background now. And we can decant these back into our pot. You can use any sort of brand of these beautiful clear kind of iridescent sequins. They could be circles, they can be hearts, they can be stars, anything that you want. I just think they look really lovely in a background like this. And then to fill in the remainder of that adhesive that's left in the background, we're going to bring in some rock candy glitter from Distress to fill in those final areas and give a lovely sparkle to the background. So I'm not going to put too much on, just in case more confetti falls off and I contaminate it. I'd hate to like dump out the whole container and then get a load of little hearts in it. So we can, if we don't put too much glitter out to begin with, we can easily pick out those hearts and then put the glitter back into our container. So we're just going to burnish the glitter into the double-sided adhesive sheet. You might find at this point you realise there are a few extra leaves that are a little bit loose as well. Okay, got all our beautiful glitter on. Tap off the excess. You can see quite a few hearts did come off in that, so tap off that excess. And then we've got our beautiful sparkly background that we will come back to in a second, but first we want to clear up our contamination in here. So there's multiple ways of doing this. You can get a sticky pickup tool and just pick up the hearts out of the glitter, or you can use your finger to pick them up, or you could actually decant this into another pot and keep it as a clear glitter with clear hearts in it and use it for something else as well. So you can kind of do whatever you want, but I'm just going to take all of these little hearts out and I'm going to put my glitter back in my pot. So now we've got our gorgeous background, we can trim this down because it's just slightly bigger than my favourite size at the moment. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off each side. Just make sure it's all nice and square. Then I want to use this as our sentiment, this beautiful thank you. Now, because we've used the dark colour in the background of the card, depending where you put this, it may get a little bit lost. So my top tip for anything like this is just to take a piece of vellum. Just tear a strip of vellum, place it across your card, and now your sentiment really stands out. But we can make this a bit narrower so we're not covering up too much of our gorgeous background. And then we can place our thank you going across the middle there. So all we're going to do is add glue to the back of the thank you, making sure you don't add too much, just tiny little dots of glue. And I will tap the excess off on the back of my hand. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I just find it gets some of the excess glue off to stop it from splodging out on top of the vellum. And then we can place that on top. And I do put a little bit more glue behind the word on the back of the vellum so that it will stick down eventually onto our card. It may not grab immediately, but eventually that will stay nice and stuck onto there. And then I'm just going to pick this up and wrap those edges around the back to secure the rest of the vellum into position. And we can put a little bit of double-sided tape behind each of those bits to hold it down. And then I'll continue to put double-sided tape on the back of the card and add it to a card blank as well. And no card would be complete without some final embellishments, so obviously in the Arden range we have enamel dots, and I've picked out the Vintage Christmas collection because it's got some really deep dark purples in here, but there's also white in here as well, so if the purple doesn't stand out enough, we've got white ones to choose from too. I think the purple looks really nice actually, and we've got two tones of purple in here as well. We've got a reddier purple and we've got a bluier purple. I think the reddier one goes better with the gorgeous aubergine cardstock. So let's do a large one here, and then we've got a medium one. As we're going on to the glitter and everything, I am going to put a dot of glue behind these. They are perfectly strong enough to stay stuck themselves, but just because we're going on to glitter, I feel like it's likely that glitter particles could get stuck to the back and then they might ping off over time. So I'm going to just put a little bit of glue on the back of those. And then, what size is on the top? I might even be able to get a bit of glue underneath that one so the vellum stays down a little bit more there as well. Not sure if I got any glue under there then. There we go. Yeah, that's going to help that stay down a little bit more. And then, do we do medium and small or big and medium? I think the big one is going to stand out really nicely up there, and because we're going across now from vellum to cardstock, I am going to use adhesive again. And then the medium one is going to go on a bit of glitter. So again, a bit of glue underneath just to make sure that they stay stuck really nicely. So the perfect finishing addition for this card are the beautiful vintage Christmas Arden enamel dots. And it just finishes it off so nicely with a little scattering of those on. So I really hope you enjoyed this technique using the Premium Cardstock from Arden Creative Studios, showing you just how nicely either the 225 GSM or the 300 GSM cardstock, whether you go for the A4 or the 12x12, die cuts really nicely. Even with fine detailed dies, both weights of cardstock die cut really, really nicely. So I really hope you enjoyed this technique for this card, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!